Mr. Chaudhary, thank you so much for being here today at the Gen AI Summit 2024. So, my first question to you is, how do you see the Gen AI landscape shape up in India?
Okay. So most of the Gen AI space has always been in the textual, the NLP world. We are only into the visual AI space, as I said in the session as well. So Gen AI for us was actually a negative connotation. The deep fakes and the Obama videos and all those things was always we always went in with that, we are doing good stuff and not always negatives. In the visual world, we do use Gen AI a bit in our product development in terms of, generating data. Data is always a big challenge in the world of AI. And we've used generative AI to create that synthetic data for enhancing our data models. Another area which we have worked on is something called a super resolution. For example, I take a photo and this is blurred or the camera is moving. I mean, it's windy. So how do I fix that image so that I'm able to recognize better? So there is this whole concept which uses generative AI to improve the quality of the images. So given that I've trained for this background scenario and say the camera is moving, generative AI will then take care of the image such that it removes those blurs. So there are these couple of areas where we have been using generative AI in our technology. Then there's the whole generative AI for the customers whom we are implementing our products and solutions. So there most of the usage has been in the architectural or when I mean architecture, not just buildings, whether I'm architecting a car or any product, the whole need to, build a prototype is always an expensive for any manufacturing or even a building. And their generative AI has helped a lot in terms of virtualizing this prototyping process. And that's an area which has really helped. In India, if you ask me specifically, not much has been happening. Very few companies are in the visual space itself. And I hope in the next few years, things will really improve.
You mentioned super resolution. Samsung has something very similar on its phone, on device. I use it all the time. We as journalists need photos, and some of the photos are not very high resolution. So I change the resolution on device. So I just want to understand, even if Indian startups start getting into AI, and as you said, visual AI, how do you see them competing with giants like Samsung who are taking the help of Google Gemini and other big tech companies?
So most of these models, even if you see all the sessions, so Gen AI became famous with ChatGPT. But ChatGPT is a generic model. If you see, like many of the sessions today, somebody was building it for his HR thing. So the models have to be trained very specifically for that kind of data. Somebody was doing the multi-language thing. In India, the government is trying to do Bhashini. So there again, the training is a very different set. The ChatGPT is not a solution. It's not this end all for everything. It's a good thing for generic. So similarly, your Samsung, they are, so most use cases of phones are either portraits, self-portraits, selfies, and or in a party, you're taking photographs, and or a very, you go on a visit, you've gone on a vacation and you take your nature photos. So they have also been training their models with those kind of scenarios in mind. When I'm doing a building, I would then train for those background scenarios, those kind of structures. And in fact, even in that, whether it's a glass structure or a concrete structure, the texture of the material also would depend on how I train my model. So where the small, medium-sized companies are getting into is those niches where they will apply super resolution as a capability.
Speaking of the potential threats that Gen AI has, where do you see those challenges as far as data privacy is concerned?
Yeah, so
it's all about data, right?
So, two ways. Okay. So, I think one of the LTML in the networking session did talk about it. So, one, what their particular company he talked about, they said they are actually creating scenarios wherein when the hacker hacks into the system to get the data, they're actually generating a false scenario for the hackers itself. So that's a very unique scenario, use case of generative AI. Then there was this whole other angle to it wherein you encrypt and you use, I wouldn't say Gen AI theoretically, but yeah, to some extent, wherein you encrypting the data such that the hacker is fooled into believing he's capturing or he's sort of hacking into certain type of data, wherein actually it is something else. Whereas from a data, from an AI perspective, the data being cleaned and being sanctified such that it is not biased or your models are not biased. There, yes, like for example, we do use generative AI for generating synthetic data. Yes, you need to be careful how proliferate. How prolific you are in using that the tool of generative AI for generating data. But I suppose it is then up to the individual sort of companies and or individuals who are building those models to take care of.
Okay. Last question. Do you believe India has what it takes to be the global capital of AI?
Yeah, definitely. So just like we became the global capital for IT and automation, maybe we're still not there in the product world. We are still a services, IT services country. Fortunately, extending that IT services, employing AI in the service and also employing AI for the business, we have been good in applying those technologies. So we've always been good in applying the Oracles and the Microsofts and the SQLs, etc. So we are also getting good in applying these AI products or services already, or even the open sources which are available in the market today. I just hope we will build more products. India needs to build more products, and me as a product company, I'm proud that we are building products, and we hope that more companies get into this space, and that's where the growth and the money is.
Right. The last question, since you are in the visual AI sphere, I'm very curious. Do you believe that AI platforms like Sora, are they viable on a mass level? Because, it will take a very considerable amount of GPU power to actually use those models.
Stuff. Again, kind of repeating my point. So AI is still a rich man's game. It's only the Raj corporates who are implementing it, and or the government. For example, for me, the low-hanging fruit was the security space, because I never need to prove an ROI to anybody. Fear sells much easier. If I can catch one bomb in an airport, even once in 3 years, I have achieved a good ROI, so to say. How well it will spread to the small, medium enterprise or to the end customers in the B2C model. It will be GPU intensive. I hope as we do more and more R&D, our endeavor always is make it more accurate, faster and cheaper. So hopefully we will hit that day someday, and hopefully NVIDIA will loosen its grip on the GPU market for the others to come up. And yeah, hopefully we'll then be able to do it for everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary. Pleasure.